What's up, wrestling fans? Yo! You're watching Wrestling Warm-Up right here on WrestlingRumors.net, and tonight we're back. That's right. We didn't have it last week because the Raw program was actually taped at 3 o'clock, and I wrote spoilers from 3 to 6, and then, of course, we had another 3-hour show to watch after that, so I didn't feel like we necessarily needed to be here, but we're here tonight, and, of course, we'll be live right here at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday to do a wrestling warm-up before the Survivor Series, but, of course, like always, we're joined with Mr. Christopher Walter from Canada, and, of course, Mr. Alex B. Song up there in the Berg, who has Grumpy Cat already on his little... Well, what's the meme say? I can't see what the meme actually says.
Got cropped out, but that says, we should push Ryback off a cliff, because this cat is terrible.
Nice!
Terrible Grumpy Cat.
Yes!
No need to be on the show.
Grumpy Cat is on the Ryhack train. But the meme is relevant because this whole episode is going to be designed around your boy, the Ryback, once again. Are you excited, Mr. B-Song? You're finally going to get your boy.
Finally get a live episode featured around Ryback.
Yeah.
It's like 2012 out here. It's insane.
I know, right? What a miserable, miserable push that was. At least nowadays is a little bit more entertaining. Not as stale, not as cheap, not as Goldberg-esque. But the kid needs a new finisher still. I'll say that till the day I die. But they teased that, did they not? On WWE.com?
Yeah, it was in that piece, but they teased finishers for just about everybody because they do, like every superstar of the past did have some current counterpart. But Ryback still was the first guy on there. He was out on the tweets and stuff. But me personally, I think they should give him the Razor's Edge if he's gonna have this NWO spray paint, the For Life, the big guy.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they have put an E in there now, since the first night when he came out there it said then, now, for life. It said THAN. What idiot misspells then on someone's singlet? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. But I agree. He actually went for the Razor's Edge on Raw last week, which I thought was cool but crazy at the same time. I guess if Sheamus isn't using it anymore, you can give it to Ryback. It needs to be used. It's such a good move. I don't know. Walter, you seem like you're in the mood for Raw tonight. What's going on?
What gave that away, Doug? I'm gonna sit here.
Your Grumpy Cat face.
I'm gonna sit here for 3 hours and watch a bloody cat. Hopefully, they just give him one segment like they've been doing with most guest hosts lately. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a cat. It doesn't talk. It doesn't do anything. It's gonna sit there in a basket, and a bunch of superstars who have nothing else better to do are probably going to approach it, trying to cheer it up. That's what's going to happen tonight. It's for a Christmas special, to promote a Christmas special that nobody's going to watch. I never knew the Grumpy Cat was an actual thing outside of the meme. You know, I didn't know it was getting television shows and whatnot. So it's the stupidest thing ever. And then with Ryback, they're going to promote him being the 5th member of Team Cena, teasing that the entire night. Sorry, Alex, I know you're a huge Ryback mark, but he doesn't do it for me, buddy. Sorry.
All this hate. John up here. Even the odds.
I don't hate Ryback. I don't like his in-ring maneuvering. I don't like he annoys the bejesus out of me. Okay, I don't hate him. He's just annoying to me. I don't know. There's always been something about him. Yeah, I don't look at him and say he's got the it factor like when I look at Dean Ambrose. I look at him and I go, this guy's trying really, really hard, and he loves the business, and I respect that. I don't think episodes. I mean, I think we learned in 2012. You don't build an entire program around the Ryback. It doesn't work out very well in the end.
Well, I don't hate him. I just think based off of the push he got last time, where he was just steamrolling through jobbers, and then when he got to the main event scene, he just kept losing over and over and over again to the CM Punks of the world, to the John Cenas. And now that he's been gone for so long with his injury, after doing the whole Rybaxel thing, he's back. They're trying to make him relevant again by centering Raws around him, putting him in this Team Cena versus Team Authority fold. I feel like it's too late. I think the Ryback ship has sailed. I don't think there's much you can do with him. You know, what happens with Ryback after Survivor Series? Does he become a contender for Brock Lesnar? Does he go up against someone like Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins? What's the end game here? I don't see anything you could really do with him.
I agree, and my biggest thing is they're gonna keep him relevant for the next couple months, especially going into the Rumble, because they're gonna tease that Ryback could win the Rumble. I mean, that's gonna happen. But you're right. He's not a credible opponent for Brock Lesnar, so he's not a title guy. But if we've learned anything over the last 4 months, you don't have to be a title guy to be in the main event because we don't have a title. Well, we have a title, it's just never there. So with the title coming back next month to do TLC and Royal Rumble and and then WrestleMania, we got 3 pay-per-views that are going to feature a title belt. Ryback's not going to be anywhere around that. It's going to be John Cena, Randy Orton, and whoever wins the Royal Rumble.
Do you think we see anything with Ryback? There was always those stories that he might get into a United States title program with Rusev. Maybe you even do something with Luke Harper.
I would love to see Ryback feud for like the IC title with Harper if he happens to take it off of Ziggler. That'd be a very good program.
Right. I think that's what we were talking about that the other day. I think for sure you're getting Harper and Ziggler next for the IC title, and I don't know. I love the report that says we might see a rematch, the Triple Threat IC title match, and that Dolph Ziggler might work twice on Survivor Series because that match on SmackDown was absolutely incredible. When B-Song was writing spoilers on Tuesday, and he told me apparently this match is awesome. Or actually, I was writing them on Tuesday afternoon. And Will, our graphic designer at WrestlingRumors.net, was there, and he was sending me what was happening in the arena, and he said that actually was an incredible match. So I had to watch it. Now I watched it Friday night. That match is awesome. Cesaro, Tyson Kidd, and Dolph Ziggler showed out. And if there's one thing that is a credible note to Dolph Ziggler, it's that it's the same kind of thing they're doing with Ryback. I don't think the company has lost faith in these guys. I think Ryback had to go when he failed in his main event push. They had to drop him down, and he had to work his way back to this point. I think the same thing with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler was running his mouth backstage. It's kind of the same thing that we're seeing happen with Cesaro now. I don't know if it's something that the management is having these new guys that come up do. I mean, like if they fail, they have to go back through the ringer. I don't know what the deal is, but Cesaro is definitely going through the eat plates of crap and like it phase with Vince McMahon. I don't know why. We don't know what happened backstage. If it was the comments he made about John Cena and Randy Orton, then it was. But if it wasn't, then I don't know what he did because he is totally just outside of being put in title match after title match after title match and losing. He's still showing out in the ring, still proving that he's a very, very big candidate to be a main eventer at some point if they ever find something for him creatively to do that works. But I think the same thing with Ryback and the same thing with Dolph Ziggler. They definitely have big faith in Dolph Ziggler. He's mad over, and he's been a really good IC champion. And I think we definitely see a Luke Harper or Dolph Ziggler feud. But you're bringing, and I want to ask you guys this question: Do you think if they do a IC title match at Survivor Series, does Luke Harper walk away with it here? His first, not here, but do you see Luke Harper walk away with the IC title at TLC? Because they're going to do an IC title match at TLC with Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper. Like that's just writing in the sand. If they do that match, and it's Luke Harper's first singles feud and program since leaving the Wyatt family, does he win the title?
I'm going to say no, only because I feel at Survivor Series, if Ziggler does do the rematch with Cesaro and Kidd, I think he drops the title there, to be quite honest. I know that WWE was impressed with the triple threat on SmackDown, and basically all they want to do is just put it on pay-per-view again because they want a larger audience to see it. But at the same time, and I wrote about this in one of the articles where I acknowledged that Ziggler might have 2 matches, and it could be used as a way for the Authority to weaken Team Cena. They could always have Luke Harper interfere in the triple threat match and cost Ziggler the title. You don't need Ziggler and Harper to have the IC belt. You can just do a singles feud there. And I think with the way Tyson Kidd has been winning as of late, I think he would be a credible guy to hold the IC title for the next couple of months.
What do you think, Alex?
See, I disagree with that because I think if you do happen to keep the title on Ziggler and you go to TLC and you have Harper strip him of the title in his first match back, that actually builds some credibility to the IC championship or IC title. And you really don't. You should have that with Brock Lesnar possibly missing TLC, and he's only going to wrestle Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 31 probably. I think it's a good way to build credibility up for that championship instead of just, like Walter said, if you throw it on Tyson Kidd, the IC title's just going to get lost in the shuffle again, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is, the guy is expected to make the title. The title's not expected to make the guy. And Dolph Ziggler's done a really good job of bringing the IC title back to the forefront. He's added a lot of credibility back to that title. So I like having someone like Luke Harper, who obviously can go in the ring. I like the fact that I'm probably going to see a Luke Harper Dolph Ziggler feud coming up in the near future for the title. I don't see him dropping the IC title on Sunday. I don't see with Cesaro the losing streak that he's been on. I don't see them putting the IC title on him, and I just don't think Tyson Kidd. I think they view Tyson Kidd more as an NXT competitor than a main roster guy. Because he's excelled. He has excelled in NXT. He has come up with a character that works and that gets heat. But he's always been one of the best technicians in the ring that they've had on contract. So I don't know. I don't think we're ready for a Tyson Kidd IC title run. So I think we will see Ziggler, if he does wrestle twice on Sunday, get the victory and go on to, maybe he's the first eliminated. I don't know. Maybe Luke Harper interferes and he keeps the title via DQ. I don't know. But I think we definitely see Harper, and I would not be surprised if they took the title off of Ziggler at TLC and put it on Luke Harper, and then we see him fight again for it at the Royal Rumble. But interesting note, Alex, you said that maybe Brock Lesnar isn't working TLC. The biggest story is that he's gonna work TLC. The biggest thing is that John Cena is being advertised as a competitor in the Royal Rumble. Like, he is being advertised that he is going into the Royal Rumble in 2015 as trying to get his third Royal Rumble win, which technically hasn't been done by anybody but Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you count the first one, which really wasn't a win. So they're really pushing this John Cena in the Royal Rumble deal in multiple advertisements, video packages on the Arena's website, written up advertisements for the Arena's website that's holding the Royal Rumble, of course, in your neck of the woods. And it's one of those things where if he's going to be in the Royal Rumble, he can't be in the title match as well. And he is the next competitor for Brock Lesnar. So, looking at that and looking at the fact that Brock Lesnar has now been placed on 2 Raws leading up to TLC instead of just one, instead of just December 8th, I think we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at TLC. And that changes the game as far as what we're going to see in the next few weeks as far as TV goes. Because if Team Cena goes over Team Authority, sure, you've got Team Authority and Vince McMahon. You've got Triple H, Stephanie, and Vince McMahon now going to start this battle for power. But where does that leave Cena? It leaves Cena nowhere to go except for the championship. Now, a lot of people said maybe Seth Rollins because they're wrestling each other at house shows and stuff like that, but I think that's more in line for what we're going to get this coming Sunday instead of what we're going to get at TLC. I don't think we're going to see Rollins versus Cena at TLC. I think we're going to see Orton and Rollins at TLC, and I definitely see Lesnar and Cena at TLC. But let's look at what we have on deck for Raw tonight. Of course, Ryback, will he be a part of Team Cena? Will he not? Of course he's going to be a part of Team Cena. And of course that's where they're going to be focusing the majority of the show. Obviously, we've seen the last 4 weeks. Of build-up all about Team Authority versus Team Cena, which they have built amazingly. I'm actually excited for that match. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm excited for the main event of the pay-per-view that's going to be free on the WWE Network for new subscribers. I'm excited for that. They've done a good job of booking it and of building it up. There has been no other build for this pay-per-view, though. Like, I am dreading the first 2 hours of this thing. Because, and it's another reason why I think they want to put this triple threat match on the pay-per-view. Because they realize that this card from 8 to 10 is going to suck. Am I wrong here? Like, am I wrong in thinking that this thing's going to be a cluster until 10 o'clock?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be terrible. I just think they haven't done enough to make you care about what happens, which you could say about basically every pay-per-view up to this point that's been on the WWE network, because when you're on the network, and of course we've made the point that you already have the fans' money, you can just build the main event, push that as your selling card, and then everything else you just use as filler. So at Survivor Series, what they've done is they've completely built all of their shows, all of their TV around Team Cena versus Team Authority, but then the undercard has been neglected, but the matches themselves are probably going to be fine. I mean, Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose, which has been completely neglected, and I can't believe WWE has dropped the ball to the degree they have with this feud, because that was the big thing coming out of Hell in a Cell, right?
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose and Wyatt, and we thought we were going to get weeks of just stellar in-ring promos, which they kind of have done to a degree, but not as high as we might have imagined. And then we're probably going to get the Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles with the Matadores, the Stardust, Goldust, Usos, and then Miz and Sandow. You got AJ and Nikki for the Divas Championship. You probably get Ziggler in that triple threat for the Intercontinental title. And then, Adam Rose versus the Bunny. I mean, let's be honest. We're probably going to get that as well. So as far as in-ring work, it's going to be tolerable. You're probably going to have a good time watching it, but it's not something that you desperately need to see.
No, and I think that's because they've neglected exactly what you're talking about. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, like Walter said, the in-ring stuff will be fine, but there's really no story to anything, including Ambrose versus Wyatt, like we hit on. The only thing with actual story that you might say, oh, I kind of look forward to this, is the Bunny versus Adam Rose, just to see who the hell the Bunny is. But other than that, it's just not going to be that good from 8 to 10.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I could not care less who that Bunny is. I don't care if it's Justin Gabriel, Sami Zayn, or Darren Young, whoever they're gonna have come out of this thing as the Bunny. It doesn't matter. It could be Brad Maddox, and it does not matter who is behind the Bunny, because that ship is way too sunken to actually for them to actually try to pull it back out. That was before. They started that in Night of Champions. Going towards Night of Champions is when they started that. They didn't even have that going on at Hell in a Cell. They just totally eliminated it, and then after Hell in a Cell, they brought it back into the limelight, like it needed to be brought back up after the ship had already sunk. Why? Why do we need that feud? It's going to be the kickoff match if it's anything. There's no point in having that match. I mean, it's just to have another match on the card, which I think is ridiculous. Honestly, I could see a tag title change.
With who? Miz
Survivor Series.
Mizdow and Miz, probably.
I think it would be stupid if they don't put it on Miz and Mizdow, because Miz and Mizdow is probably one of the hottest things going in the business right now. Do you think they could actually put them on them?
Yeah, they'd be the most logical choice. I don't see why you'd put it back on the Usos unless, Ascension, you bring those boys up and you want to at least have a face team hold the titles. I think if Miz and Sandow do win it, I think you just have the same problem that you do with Stardust and Goldust. There just aren't enough big-time face tag teams for them to challenge. So it's easier to have it on a face team. But then again, the Usos have already had their run.
I don't know. You've got one face and one heel, and that heel team is the issue. They're more over as faces than heels right now.
But did they need the titles though?
I think it could extend their tag team for a while. I think it could extend them as a team. I think it could add a little bit more of a oomph to them being a team. To have the titles.
I think Sandow was the oomph.
No, I'm just saying, because they weren't working as a team before. It's only been the last 4 weeks that they've actually been a tag team.
Right.
So if they're going to be a tag team, and you're going to have them be a tag team for a while to push this Mizdow's getting more over than Miz angle where they finally feud at some point.
Any chance they give it to Matadores?
No. There is no chance.
If they're in it, they could win it, man.
There's no way. There's no way that those guys ever win those tag team titles. There's no way.
Is this an elimination match or just a standard fatal 4-way?
They haven't announced anything about the match. They haven't even announced that that's going to be the match. I'm assuming they're going to do that tonight.
Probably will, yeah. And I would assume yes, just because there's nothing on the undercard, so they'll have to fill out at least 2 hours. So why not give that match 25 minutes, have it be elimination rules? It's Survivor Series.
Yeah, I mean, it works. Works as an elimination match. And then, of course, like what you said with this Dean Ambrose Bray Wyatt thing, it's been the focus on SmackDown, but who watches SmackDown?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was the angle coming out of Hell in a Cell. It was the main event. Bray Wyatt interrupted the main event. And so, instead of the main event getting the spotlight, it's been what people were saying could have been the real main event, which was John Cena and Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. It's been those guys that have gotten the focus here. And I think they've done that for obvious reasons. Those are the two guys, and those are the Authority and Cena are obviously the biggest focal points of the company. But at the same time, why end the show at Hell in a Cell and only have one promo air on Monday Night Raw where they never even saw each other?
I think it's because they probably want to get at least 3 months out of this thing. They're probably just playing it slow. They know that their money right now is in the Cena Authority storyline, so they don't want to put all of their eggs in one basket and start giving away all of the juicy bits of Ambrose versus Wyatt. And of course, we're going to talk about this on Sunday when we preview the pay-per-view. Right. But something that I've always thought to get more legs out of it is Bray Wyatt winning on Sunday, and then you have two new guys debut to be the new Wyatt family for Bray, and I think that's how you kind of get yourself through Royal Rumble and whatnot, or however long you want to have Wyatt versus Ambrose, because Ambrose is one of the biggest stars in the company, but the guy cannot win on pay-per-view to save his damn life. So
yeah, it's been a while.
So Wyatt goes over on Sunday, and then I'm not saying it's going to be Victor and Connor, but I think we will see some sort of backup for Bray Wyatt.
I don't think it's necessary. But at the same time, they've got to have some kind of physicality happen tonight on Raw between these two. Like, there has to be a confrontation in the ring. There has to be something backstage. There has to be a lot of focus on this tonight because, like I said earlier, the only thing they've really focused on is Team Cena versus Team Authority. So we've got to get some actual leeway into building up the undercard. You know, they tried to build up Nikki Bella versus AJ Lee for the title, but it's been really weak. Even with this whole, Brie being the assistant thing has been super weak. Like, I thought they were gonna squeeze every little bit of juice out of that they could, but they haven't even really done that. Like, they really haven't exploited it. With this report coming out over the weekend that AJ Lee might be leaving after Sunday, she's advertised all the way till TLC, but if she does leave on Sunday, I mean, what are they going to do? It's going to be Nikki Bella and Brie Bella probably for the Divas Championship, because who else do you throw against Nikki Bella first?
You would have to call up like guys or girls like Charlotte and Bayley if you're actually going to have have AJ Lee move on. You have to call up more divas to the active roster. If you don't, then you're basically screwed.
Well, the funny thing is that Charlotte has been rumored to be coming up after the December takeover. So I think I think there may be a little bit more to this rumor about AJ Lee leaving than to some rumors. She just launched a website under AJ Brooks that's going to tell, that connects her to fans, so she can actually have an official website of her own. There's a lot of her friends, especially Celeste Bonin, as everyone knows, as Caitlyn has her on, left after her first contract was up, and has her on fitness design and fitness program, and she's doing gangbusters and enjoying her life post WWE. There's plenty of reports AJ Lee may want to have a family with CM Punk, and these guys have more than enough money to live comfortably for the rest of their life doing whatever the heck they want to do. So if she leaves, I'm not one that's hating on her for wanting to leave. If she wants to leave, let her leave. But for me, with the reports that Charlotte was coming up, we all kind of thought, well, is Charlotte and AJ gonna go head to head whenever Charlotte does come up, or is it gonna be more of the Charlotte Paige, Charlotte, Nikki, whoever is the champion? Is it gonna be Charlotte coming after that immediately, like Paige did? And man, for me, it would be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool to see Charlotte come up when AJ leaves and takes that, fills that void. I don't. I mean, I think Charlotte would probably be more willing to be on Total Divas instead of AJ Lee constantly saying, I'm not going to be on that show. But now that they put every diva aside from AJ Lee on that show, it kind of made me think, okay, AJ Lee's probably out the door. But Charlotte coming up is definitely happening in December. I think that's definitely happening, whether AJ Lee's or not.
I don't know if it's going to be December, but what you could do is at Survivor Series, you do Nikki and AJ. I'm not sure who wins, but you do the rematch at Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. That's AJ's last match. You get to the Royal Rumble. You have Nikki probably defend against Brie Bella. I don't think you need to have Charlotte debut in December just because the end of the month is basically just rehashes, specials, tribute to the troops. They don't really try anything new.
Right.
In the last couple of weeks. So have Charlotte debut in the new year. You can have her be at the forefront of the title picture heading into WrestleMania. It's not like people don't know who she is.
Right.
And by the time she debuts, you're probably going to have Ric Flair introduce her anyway. So she'll get over to that degree with people who don't watch NXT. But to the whole AJ leaving thing, I think now you can even look at someone like CM Punk. If CM Punk's contract had expired and he hadn't gone the route that he did where he just kind of walked away from the business, people wouldn't have been upset just because, you like any job in the world, you have the right to leave when you're not contractually obligated to be there at work. So with AJ Lee, if her contract does expire, I think people like CM Punk, like her husband CM Punk, and even to a lesser degree Caitlyn, are showing the people in the wrestling industry that there is a bright light outside of being just a wrestler. There are going to be other opportunities out there for you to really succeed and make more money. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be disappointing for AJ to leave if she does leave, but at the same time, there's other divas who can get put into that spot. We can see those NXT girls be brought up, so it's not the worst thing that's ever happened.
Right, and we do know that Eve Torres has been teasing a return.
Right.
And WWE just re-registered her name. So maybe we see Eve Torres come out of left field and re-emerge. I'm not really excited about Bayley. I got to tell you, the girl can wrestle, but her character is awful. So I'm not excited.
The kids will love her. The kids will love her.
Emma 2.0.
She's so terrible. Her and Emma both are bad.
No, Emma's cheesy because she had a stupid dance. Bayley is at least like you can kind of go to her. Like, she's kind of like the female Eugene to an extent.
Which is awful.
But Eugene had a pretty good run.
At least Eugene had a pretty good run.
He was wrestling Triple H and Kurt Angle, and he won the tag titles, so he wasn't a complete waste, guys.
No, but I mean, Great Khali won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Great Khali had a better run than Eugene. And
are you not digging Bayley's entrance, man? The flailing and inflatable cube, man. That's cool.
She is terrible. That character is bad. That character is only for people ages 4 to 7.
How would you describe her character then? Because I think she's just someone who's extremely gullible, which is not really a character. That's just kind of a personality trait. I think she's just a regular, nice girl.
She's basically the movie Big, but with a female. Like, she is a child stuck in an adult-like body. She's the little kid sister to everybody that you knew growing up.
And you're telling me
and she's 25. It doesn't make any sense.
And you're telling me in a Divas division she can't succeed? It's not like she's a male and she's getting the WWE World Heavyweight title. She's in the Divas division.
Right, and we've just seen more realistic character divas like AJ Lee and Paige do better than what we were seeing with other stupid divas. Like with Cameron and Naomi, that the Funkadactyls thing didn't really work out like they thought it was going to work out. Like obviously Naomi, who was doing really good work in the ring, can't get over without that stupid gimmick attached to her. You have people like Charlotte, really, really good. Natalya, really, really good. And they don't have the cheesy cornball character. I don't know. I'm more of a fan of women that are really good in the ring, that aren't stupid, and aren't like a stupid character.
Hey, but those kind of girls haven't been pushed lately. Look at Natalya. Look at Naomi. I mean, Naomi was being groomed to be the next champion, and now she's just lost in the shuffle. Because she has no personality. At least Bayley, regardless if you like it or not, has some sort of charisma.
Well, I'll say this. Emma was super over like Bayley is in NXT, right? And we saw what happened with Emma.
Hey, and by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, one of you guys reported the PWI when they do the top 500 wrestlers, they did the top 50. Yeah. Have you guys seen the rest of that list?
Yeah.
The entire 50, not just the top 10.
Oh no, I just looked at the top 10. I didn't.
Yeah,
really
I
care
saw
about
the
the
top 10 only.
Cameron was number 16 on that list. She was rated 10 spots ahead of Naomi.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. There's no credibility to that list at all.
They based it off of TV time, but I feel like they had equal TV time.
At least Eva Marie wasn't on the list.
But she was also getting some bigger titties.
Yeah. Eva, let's
Oh my God.
Don't lie like that. You're getting your tits enhanced.
She chimes in at the number 00 is what she chimes in at, or the letters double D.
The letters double D. There you go.
Maybe, I don't know. The bigger question is tonight: is this the last Raw with the Authority being the Authority? What do you think,
Alex?
I hope so. I think it will be. I mean, I don't see any scenario where Team Authority wins at Survivor Series. Just based on the way that if they're actually going to rehash this McMahon Triple H storyline, if there's any legs of rumors that Stephanie McMahon is indeed pregnant, I don't think we're going to see the Authority in this dominant role next week.
The only reason I'm picking Team Cena is because I do think Randy Orton gets involved, and I think it comes down to John Cena and Seth Rollins. Orton comes out to an insane response because the show, of course, is in St. Louis. Yep. He RKOs Seth Rollins. Team Cena wins, but I have no idea who they put into the Authority role after that. It could be anyone at this point.
Yeah, my vision of the end of the night is the same as yours. Randy Orton makes an appearance, costs Team Authority, and then of course we get Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins coming up in December with John Cena going against Brock Lesnar at TLC. I really think that this is it for them, and of course at that point then Vince has to come on Raw the following Monday and put someone else in that picture, and then you have Triple H, and maybe it's just Triple H, not Triple H and Stephanie, but at least Triple H. You know, they try to come in the arena and they get barred from it, and then of course we have all this backstage interaction with Triple H, you know, getting involved with whoever it is. And
do we see because I still think, you know, TLC, of course, you get Cena and Lesnar more than likely for the title, and then Lesnar retains. Do we see Lesnar versus Orton at the Royal Rumble?
I think that's the most logical thing after that is that we see Lesnar versus Orton at the Rumble. I mean, Orton has already RKO'd Paul Heyman. There's no reason to do that if you're not going to tease a Randy Orton Brock Lesnar feud. And of course, Randy Orton has never gotten a rematch from WrestleMania 30. Mm-hmm. So maybe Randy's whole purpose of screwing the Authority is because he feels like, you know, they obviously didn't give him his due, didn't really trust that he was the face of the company, and you know, he talks whoever the new man behind the scenes is, or woman behind the scenes, whoever the new GM or interim power in Authority, whatever, whoever that is, maybe Randy Orton gets them to give him his rematch at the Royal Rumble. I think that's a definite possibility, if not the most likely possibility.
And I'll pose this question to you guys again. There are rumors right now that Lesnar is interested in making a return to UFC. I just saw an article recently where Dana White did say that there was some sort of interest between the two parties. Is WrestleMania 31 Brock Lesnar's last match?
What's your thoughts, Alex?
No, I don't think that WWE, if he does want to jump ship to UFC, the company would have to do everything in its power to get him to stay for at least one more calendar year, at least a couple more months. You can't just have Lesnar put someone over like Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. You still have to build him up just a wee bit more because the guy did end the Undertaker streak. You can't just have him put over one guy, in my opinion, then just sail off to go back to UFC.
But if you take the UFC completely out of the equation, because WWE right now is really struggling to make ends meet in terms of their finances and where they're allocating their money, do you think maybe WWE just cuts ties with Lesnar just because it's not worth the investment anymore?
They could very well do that, but I don't think that's a sound or smart move at the least.
And remember, there have been times before where champions put over guys at WrestleMania and then you don't see them for a prolonged period of time. Just for an example, right off the top, Shawn Michaels took some time off when he made Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14.
Yeah, he had to. Just physically he had to. But there's plenty of times where that's happened. My big thing with that is, Lesnar is using the money that he's been making for WWE as a leverage tool in trying to get the same amount, if not more, from UFC if he returns to UFC. If UFC does not match that number, I think you see Brock Lesnar stay with WWE. Because he only has to work 4 dates out of the year. He just has to show up for TV 2 weeks before each pay-per-view. He only has to work 4 dates a year, and it's not real physical damage to his body. It is, but it's not. It's enough to where he's having to get banged up, but not to the extent that he did and would in UFC. So it's a little bit more comfortable. The dates are a little bit more definite and set to where he's, he only has to be there every now and then, and it's a big old chunk of change. So for me, if Dana White and UFC doesn't give him that, and it's not for even a more limited schedule, no, I think he says WWE.
And I'm also assuming that WrestleMania 31, the main event, is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I don't even think WWE is really secure with that match yet. And as a way to protect Lesnar, because, again, he is the guy who ended the streak. And I know it's a year later, but I think they'd prefer to not have him lose cleanly right away. You could always go the route of doing some sort of triple threat match in the main event or a fatal four-way where Lesnar can lose, drop the title, but he doesn't get pinned.
Right. I think if they're actually gonna bite and push Roman Reigns to the extent that we all heard that he was gonna get pushed in June, that in June the rumor started. Roman Reigns is gonna be the next guy, and we're gonna push him to the moon, and it's gonna, the rocket's gonna get lit at WrestleMania 31, and we're gonna make this guy look like the next best thing to John Cena, if not better than John Cena. And for me, a triple threat doesn't do that. A triple threat would not look Roman Reigns it would not make him look as strong as if he just goes over Brock Lesnar. But I understand what you're saying about protecting Brock Lesnar as well. So I don't think they know what they're going to do.
Didn't that work with Daniel Bryan though, doing the triple threat?
The only reason it worked with Daniel Bryan was because they had already shot themselves in the foot, and neither Randy Orton nor Batista had ever defeated The Undertaker for an undefeated streak. That had never happened. So I think the only reason it worked for Daniel Bryan was because everyone in the fans wanted Daniel Bryan in that match and wanted Daniel Bryan to win the title. There's no real big fan base push for Roman Reigns, so it's not the same thing. It's not. This would be the equivalent of having the old school, thought process of the guy that wins the Royal Rumble is the guy that gets pushed to the moon, guy that gets over at WrestleMania, conquers, becomes the next guy, torch gets passed, and you push that guy to the moon and back.
The thing I'm worried about with Roman Reigns especially is that, and by all accounts, it looks like he's definitely the favorite to win the Royal Rumble, but again, it's kind of ironic that the Royal Rumble is it's not in the same city as it was last year, but it's in the same state, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So there's always that possibility that Reigns could get the Batista treatment, where the fans turn on him if he does win the Rumble, only because they would want either maybe a Dean Ambrose to win it or a returning Daniel Bryan to win it. Maybe fans aren't as sold on Roman Reigns as WWE thinks they are, because I'm certainly on that kind of 50-50 waving back and forth, where if the main event of WrestleMania is Lesnar versus Reigns, that doesn't get me excited, at least not yet.
He still only had just one singles match on pay-per-view, and that was the match with Randy Orton at SummerSlam. It was a good match, but it was only, like a 15-minute match?
Good point.
He has to have some kind of test before he goes out on a major pay-per-view, the major pay-per-view, and have a 30-minute match with Brock Lesnar.
And when Roman Reigns does come back, fans have taken more of a liking to Dean Ambrose, And if WWE shocks the hell out of us, and Daniel Bryan also, and Daniel Bryan does come back, he's going to overshadow literally everybody, and Roman Reigns won't stand a chance. So that's against him as well.
That's been one of my biggest issues, is if Daniel Bryan is in that, and John and I talked about this to a very long extended period of time. If Daniel Bryan comes back in that, is a surprise entrant into that Royal Rumble match, whoever they have planned against him to win will get booed. It will be a backlash. It will be a Batista reaction. It's not. The thing is that he had such a fan following, and has still such a fan following that's following the progress of his injury, and they really want to see him back in the ring. And I mean, look what the guy's done. Look at the style of wrestlers that everybody's going, like that WWE's going and snagging internationally. And they look at Kenta, look at Fergal, look at you can't say Kevin Steen, but look at Sami Zayn. Look at all these other guys that are competitors, much like Daniel Bryan was. The guy, they know what the fans want to see now as far as in-ring style goes. It's not the big bulky guys that they want to see much anymore. I mean, people want to see that, but not to the extent of the high-flying, risk-taking, mat technician superstar. And with Daniel Bryan changing the name of the game there, if he comes out in that Royal Rumble match and anybody else wins by him, it's gonna be bad news bears for whoever is actually scripted to do that. And I guarantee you, WWE does not change the outcome like they did last year for it.
WWE might. I agree with you, Doug. If Daniel Bryan does return, they're not going to rewrite the script just because of him, even if the fans cheer his ass for the weeks and weeks leading up to WrestleMania. But it would almost seem like they would have to put him in the main event in some capacity. And I know people are worried about a Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan match, if only because, Bryan, when he does return, he is going to be a little bit fragile. He's going to have to work a hell of a lot differently. He's not going to be doing these headbutts or dives through the ropes anymore. And perhaps putting him against a guy like Lesnar, who's just brutal with his maneuvers and could be considered a liability because he is very reckless with his suplexes and his throws and tosses and whatnot. But if Bryan does come back, maybe you do see Bryan versus Lesnar in that spot, if only because that's what the audience will clearly want.
And the biggest thing is, if I'm Daniel Bryan and I'm coming back, I'm going to complain to the moon and back, and if we want to call this the reality era, I'm going to complain to the moon and back that the authorities stripped me of, or made me surrender the WWE Championship because I wasn't going to be there to defend it, and Brock Lesnar wins it and isn't there for 3 months.
Exactly. Perfect.
There's your storyline.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. Daniel Bryan comes back and is on the side of Vince McMahon. Maybe that's what we get. Vince McMahon or whoever's in charge, whoever's in power, who's obviously going to be a face guy or girl, whoever it is. Maybe it's Daniel Bryan going to them and being like, "Hey, look, they made me surrender the freaking title. They don't do it to Brock Lesnar. He's not there. So what's the deal? I want a rematch. I didn't lose the title. I had to give it up. I just wrote the next 3 weeks, or the next 3 months."
Does Cena have any chance to win the title before WrestleMania?
No.
There's no chance?
No.
What if? I mean, we're throwing theories out here because Raw is going to suck so much tonight, and we want to fill up these 10 minutes here. But at tables, ladders, and chairs, they could always do Lesnar Cena in a TLC match, and then Lesnar could lose the title. He doesn't have to get pinned. Cena just has to climb a ladder and bring it down.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen? There's no chance Lesnar doesn't go at WrestleMania?
It's going to be Lesnar. Here's the thing. If Lesnar does not go into WrestleMania 31 as champion, I will be so surprised that I will shave everything off of my face. I said it last year when I said Daniel Bryan wasn't going to be there. Listen, I'm telling you, I will shave everything off. I'll be so surprised that I'll shave everything off. It's one of those things where the way they have him booked and the way they've been building him, he has to be the guy that passes the torch at WrestleMania. Has to be the guy. And if he's not, if they change something drastically, like we got kind of last year, it's got to be Randy Orton or Seth Rollins cashing in that takes it off of him. It cannot be John Cena. It can't. Unless you're turning John Cena completely heel, and that's not gonna happen.
Do you think it might have been Taker's decision after all, but do you think WWE has any sort of like regrets on actually having Lesnar break the streak? I mean,
I bet.
he's booked them into a corner this entire calendar year. He's going to book them into a corner at their biggest event again.
Yeah, I guarantee you that there's some sort of regret there, because the big money is on a rematch between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. We may not ever see that.
Mm-hmm. And I know, like, people backstage, like in interviews, talents won't like go out and say, "Well, we have like backstage resentment against Brock Lesnar." They just say the opposite, saying, "Oh, he generates all this money, publicity, and whatnot." But he has to be not very well liked. I mean, the guy's reckless in the ring. If you, like we said, if you put him in the ring with like Bryan or even smaller guys like Ambrose and Rollins, you're putting your top stars at risk.
You're putting your top stars at risk working with Ryback on Sunday.
Nah. Not the same thing. Not the same thing.
I'm curious to know both of your answers. We're talking just because we're talking about the streak and kind of the corner WWE's in giving the win to Brock Lesnar. If you were in charge, you don't even listen to what Taker says. You don't care what anyone else says. Who gets the streak? Who's the one who you can take that nostalgic moment and build that guy for the next 5 to 10 years? Who do you think deserves that moment? Because I know who I would have given it to.
Who?
I would have given it to Bray Wyatt. Because I think if Undertaker is going to be gone, and I think we might not see him ever wrestle again. That's no way confirmed at all. Bray Wyatt is that paranormal-esque character. He's not just the regular tough guy. He has this aura around him, so to speak. And you can make him your next Undertaker. I'm not saying he's going to go on a winning streak at WrestleMania, but he's that guy. And if you haven't beat The Undertaker, that's the ultimate passing of the torch. Brock Lesnar didn't need it, but it was more believable because of who it was.
Right. Which is why they went ahead and pulled the trigger on it, because it wouldn't have been. Here's the thing, and we said this over and over and over again. Taker wanted it to be CM Punk.
Yes.
But after losing to Shawn Michaels twice and to Triple H twice, there's no way Vince McMahon's going to let a punk like CM Punk, who he didn't have faith, was going to stay with the company anyway past his contract, win a streak match. It just wasn't going to happen. Vince McMahon wasn't going to let that go down. So you can build a huge, monstrous, credible heel for your title with Brock Lesnar doing it because it's believable. And that, these two guys, which they didn't even mention, but these two guys have teased matches at WrestleMania before, the infamous run-in at UFC. All these different things, it made it believable. It was a shock factor. It's the 30th anniversary of the show. I understood it. I'm with you, though. I would have, to me, someone that built up enough credibility to be able to pull that off or to be past that torch, Bray Wyatt's definitely high up on that list with the character that he is, with his abilities in the ring, with the entrance, with the everything about him storyline wise. It would make sense to pass in the torch from Taker. A lot of people, even though they hate it, and I hate it, I don't even like it either, but John Cena is the only other guy that was believable.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody else that would have been believable. There's Bray Wyatt, which I don't think anybody would have actually thought would have happened, which would have been a shock factor at the same time. But if you're going to look at somebody that actually had could it happen, outside of Shawn Michaels and Triple H, because there wasn't that much of is CM Punk really going to win this thing until the match, and then the match was fantastic, and you thought maybe he can pull it out, but of course he didn't. Honestly, John Cena is the only one that I thought would be believable.
Right.
If you did a one-off with Sting, that to me still didn't make any sense, because Sting's going to lose his first WrestleMania match, or he's going to win his only WrestleMania match and end the streak. Didn't make any sense to me at that time. So, now it's Sting. If Sting versus Taker at WrestleMania 30, who knows? I would probably think Sting would win, but then you got Taker losing twice in a row, and that's crazy. So I don't know what they're going to do there. But Alex, who do you think would have been a believable option for Taker to lose to?
Don't say Ryback.
No, I'm not going to say Ryback. I actually, I could see Bray Wyatt getting a huge rub if he did defeat Undertaker in this shocking fashion, but at the same time, I don't think there was really anybody that you can put all this pressure on them to succeed afterwards. The only person that I would have liked to see end the streak is John Cena, but that's only if you actually use WrestleMania and him beating the streak as a way to turn him heel, but that's simply not going to happen in this day of age. Instead, you could take Taker and have him have his actual final match in which he still wins, but he goes up against someone that's either like a tweener heel or just an actual babyface. Have him go up against them. Have his opponent take him to the brink. Taker still ends up winning, but at the end of the match, Taker puts him over in a big way by just hugging in the ring, similar to what he did with Shawn Michaels and Triple H at WrestleMania 29. Just have it end like that. I don't think you can necessarily have someone beat Undertaker because that just puts way too much pressure on them as an up-and-coming star.
Well, look, listen, I mean, up until 10:15 on April 7th, I would have said no one's beating the Undertaker for the streak unless it's John Cena. At no point, outside of the fact that they reverse-built the angle with Brock Lesnar, where Undertaker got the one-upman first. Like, Undertaker came out and challenged him to the match by chokeslamming through a table. And then Brock Lesnar got the last stand at the end going into it. Like, that was weird to me that they reversed the order of babyface and heel. But I never once, before it happened, never once did I think Brock Lesnar was going to beat the streak. Not once.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think Brock Lesnar would win the title at some point. At that point. So until 10:15 or so on April 7th, at no point did I think Brock Lesnar was going to beat the streak. The only person I thought they actually could do it with, like Alex said, would be with John Cena to turn him heel. But now, I mean, we can't even coming up with who coulda, woulda, shoulda is moot at this point because
I'd have to look in the history books. That might hold up as the most surprising booking decision ever in professional wrestling, having Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker.
Outside of Bash at the Beach '96 with Hogan turning, it probably was the
most
you
know what? Yeah, they're neck and neck with each other, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just heard a lot of really, really good wrestling talk here on Wrestling Warm-Up. I know you enjoyed yourself, because so did we. Make sure you tune into WrestlingRumors.net at 6 p.m. this coming Sunday. We're going to go down the entire, whatever that card's going to be, because we don't know anything but a couple matches. Whatever the entire card is for Survivor Series, we're going to run through it with you guys first. Of course, you can check the website earlier in the weekend. You're going to see all of our predictions for who's going to win the matches and why we believe they're going to win the matches, who's going to lose, who's going to be on the loser end of everything. And, of course, you're going to be able to tune in and see what we think about future bookings like we were talking about earlier tonight. So make sure you tune in 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sure there'll be plenty of news and rumors come out before Sunday for us to be able to talk about on the show as well. It's an hour show that will be from 6 to 7 Eastern Time. So if you're out in the mountains, it's a different, obviously it keeps going Central Mountain and Pacific Time. Make sure you tune in at 6 Eastern. It's not 6:30 like everybody likes to think on Sundays because it's earlier. Because their kickoff show is earlier. So we're earlier. And we may have a special guest. That's all I'm going to say. We may have a special guest on Sunday. Someone that keeps saying they want to come be a special guest. And, of course, last month we didn't have the ability to have him on. But hopefully he'll be with us this coming Sunday. For Chris Walter, who you can follow at Walter Sports on Twitter, we'll probably be tweeting more about something else other than wrestling tonight. But you can still see some of his tweets about Raw.
Wait, what?
Yeah, between your hashtag RTZ.
Hey, no
tweets,
Raptors game tonight, buddy.
That's between Big Brother tweets, you never know what you're gonna get from Chris Walter. So at Walter Sports, see what he tweets about tonight. It could be Raw, could be something else. Could be Jennifer Lawrence doing an RKO. And of course, Alex B Song at Glass Mode ALB. You gonna be tweeting Monday Night Football tonight, buddy, or are you gonna be tweeting Raw?
That's a good question. You have Ryback on the other hand, and you have the Steelers on the other hand. So
yeah.
Ooh, decisions.
Both of them will probably disappoint anyway.
Very true, and you're a man for bringing that up. I will be watching that Steelers game on my computer while I am tweeting at WrestleRumors. You can follow us at WrestleRumors. I'll be live tweeting Raw starting at 8 o'clock, and yes, I will be watching both, so if you want to shoot me anything about the Steelers while on at WrestleRumors, you can do that as well. And I'll be probably complaining about what's happening. If it looks like anything that happened with the Jets last week, that's what we'll be discussing as well. But Raw tonight, 8 p.m. on the USA Network. Of course, some lame show following it will happen at 11:15. No, that's a really good show happening at 11:15. Wrestle Reaction with Frank Manzo and some guest host, whoever it's going to be, whether it's
Chris Cash.
Chris Cash or Chris Walter or Josh Eisenberg or myself. Since Joe Omega is still dealing with some school stuff, Wrestle Reaction right here, either WrestleReaction.net or right here on WrestlingRumors.net. Immediately following Raw, you don't want to miss that show, especially if it's Chris Cash, because when's the last time you've seen Chris Cash on anything? I don't know. When was VOW the last show? July? May?
It's been a while.
Chris Cash went out of retirement from nowhere to be on Wrestle Reaction tonight. WrestleReaction.net or WrestlingRumors.net immediately following Raw. We'll catch you then. Make sure you're following us at WrestleRumors. Talk to us. Let us have some fun during the show because it's 3 hours of monotonous stuff at this point. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.